Melanie here from the Halton Hills Chamber of Commerce, and we are bringing another member spotlight to you today. It's one of the things we love to do most is shine a light on our members, and we have one of our newer members with us today. So say hello to Allan Bjork. Allan, you're with Perception IoT, and I have learned a new thing today. IoT stands for,
Internet of Things.
okay, which I love. So, can you tell me a little bit about Perception IoT and what your background is and what the model is that you're bringing to the market?
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. First of all, thanks, Melanie, for your time. So I've been in the security industry for about 30 years now. Physical security, and just for everyone's purposes, that is typically video access control. Everyone's usually familiar with fobs and access cards and whatnot, and intrusion systems, also called burglar systems. So I've been doing that for about 30 years now. Um, what we have done in Perception IoT is also recognize that there's a need for IoT devices, environmental management, resource management, to be tied into these systems. So we've created basically a purpose-built integration company. So we consider ourselves a system integrator. What a system integrator really is we design through consultation with customers, we design, we install, and we support these sort of systems. And so it's very much turnkey in order to do this. These sort of technologies have been very much the domain of cities, municipalities, and utilities. So what Perception IoT has done, we've created a turnkey offering, for small to mid-sized businesses as well. And those businesses are typically commercial, industrial, facility management, such as warehouses, building management and whatnot, in order to build out a full turnkey solution for the companies that don't have those internal resources, and,
And
so, and don't have the time.
so, meaning an internal department that would be monitoring those types of things. So, when you talk about environmental monitoring, we had talked a little bit before about that might be water resource. Can you give me some other examples? Because I think sometimes people need to hear what you do to say, "Oh, I
Yeah.
need that."
Right. No, absolutely good point. So environmental monitoring typically is, for the most part, we're talking about air quality. You know
Okay,
what? Because air quality is very important, obviously not just for people, but for the goods usually within a facility as well.
right.
So what we can monitor real time is obviously temperature,
Mhm.
humidity, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. We also monitor something that's becoming bigger and bigger, which is particulate matter, which is those suspended particulate that is in air. Now, normally you think of smog in that sort of sense, but it's very important to monitor these things in, say, underground garages,
Oh, right.
loading docks, anywhere where you have enclosed combustion, like, for example, people storing vehicles and whatnot.
Mhm.
So we take all of those and we can deploy wireless networks in order to, it's a very simple, take the sensor, put it up on the wall, and it's real-time monitoring. And so we make it really, really simple. So companies can say, yeah, you know what, we're doing our thing in terms of monitoring our air quality, making sure that the moisture level isn't too high for our stored goods, or basically the particulate matter isn't too high for our loading, a loading dock staff and whatnot. So it's basically taking a lot of that sensor data and basically wrapping it up into one dashboard where,
Mhm.
I love dashboards, honestly, Melanie. I
Yeah.
love to be able to log in, spend 5 minutes, take a look at what's going on, what happened yesterday, did anything go wacky yesterday, and
Mhm.
then go back to my regular day job. That's what people are really looking for in terms of a simplified way to get this information.
So you're giving them a at a glance kind of checkup of the health of their environment and
Correct.
providing the tools to do that, which I would imagine would help in a lot of ways. So vendor relations, if it's a warehouse where they're storing other people's goods, or insurance to make sure that something catastrophic doesn't happen, so it keeps their premiums down. Do you find that you're getting those kinds of questions from clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And part because that is part of what is sometimes what is driving the demand sometimes
Mm,
is the auditability. So it's not sometimes it's like it's proactive component of this, which is has something gone. Like for example, if I'm in an underground garage and somebody's idling, something, or too long, and all of a sudden the CO2 levels or the carbon monoxide levels are just going too high. We want to be able to somebody somewhere to say, hey, what's going on down in that underground garage? So
mhm.
how do we sort of remediate, that issue now? The other part is um, how if somebody ever comes by later and says, well, do you have a safe environment? Well,
Mm,
now we have months, if not to say a year, of historical data to say,
yeah.
go
Yeah.
take a look at these graphs yourself. Here's the Excel, the download to say, no,
Mhm.
we've been fine in all these sort of ways. So it's actually proactive and reactive at the same time.
I love that. And so can you give me an example of someone who is a guaranteed, they know that they should be your client, and then maybe another type of company or industry that doesn't yet know they need your services, and that might spur some people to say, "Oh, I should give Alan a call."
Right, right. So in reality, again, when we're talking about security, most places have security to some degree.
Yeah.
And some more established companies may have environmental sensing. So it's very rare that we actually come to a greenfield environment where it's like somebody has nothing, unless it's actually being built from scratch.
Hmm.
So in most cases, if people have an existing location, they have something. And what they're struggling with is, a 10-year-old system that may not do what they want it to do anymore, or it's end of life. And so, in that sort of case, I said it always starts with a discussion because we acknowledge sometimes that people have limited budgets. They have, again, I talked about this limited time. So, this is a case where people are saying, well, I have, when you look at sort of certain use cases, it's like, well, I have damaged goods, I have safety issues. Somebody's propping that door in the back of my warehouse out open all the time.
Right.
Somebody's idling too long in a loading dock. There's all these sort of cases where where it's challenged to say here's what we do is because our ability to go and create a customized solution based on security or these IoT, it's so wide. So
Mm,
what we do is we say, okay, tell us what the issue is. What are you running into these issues today? And usually it's and often it's about inefficient use of people's times.
hmm.
It's about, for example, people going out and actually doing manual temperature checks, in a
Oh,
cold storage. It's about people going doing manual air quality checks out of a matter of compliance. Whereas we say, well, instead of somebody going around from property to property or going to that facility doing a manual check, we can just do it real time.
hmm.
And in which case then now you can better utilize you or your staff's, time
Yeah.
to go be again maybe something completely outside of that realm.
Hmm.
So it's about basically real-time monitoring. It's about real-time alerts to say if something goes out of whack,
Hmm.
tell us now. And it's also about automation where we can go and create automation to say if this, then notify these
That's
people,
right. Yeah.
send off this alarm over here, but without the need for an operator, so to
That's
speak.
right. Yeah, so it's just creating efficiencies and also I'm sure some assuredness that things are being looked at properly. So interesting. I will say what I love most about working with a chamber is just the amount of expertise that's out there and businesses that you never knew existed but are so crucial and impactful to other businesses' success. So I'm sure there's probably about 4 hours more of conversation you and I could have about the intricacies of your business, and I really look forward to learning more. We'll make sure to put your contact information with all the videos so that people can reach out to you and maybe do a discovery call and find out if they could benefit from Perception IoT.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Melanie. And like I said, one of the best inroads to this are proof of concepts.
Yeah.
What we do limited proof of concepts as well, which really helps in terms of identifying whether or not there is something there for you and stuff like that. So happy to have any conversation.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, great. Well, Alan, it's so nice to spend some time with you today. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you for your time.